First-term Senator Tom Udall comes from a family of public servants. The senator's father, Stuart Udall, served in Congress and as Secretary of the Interior. Tom Udall graduated from the University of New Mexico Law School and became a federal prosecutor and chief counsel to the New Mexico Department of Health and Environment. He was elected and served 2 terms as a New Mexico Attorney General, and in 1998 he was elected to represent New Mexico's 3rd Congressional District, where he served through 2008. He was elected senator following the retirement of Senator Pete Domenici and began his service in 2009.
Senator Tom Udall, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a real pleasure to be here, Gwen.
About health care. You were a major proponent of Obamacare, and right now your opponent has a tough ad showing you saying you can keep your policy if you want. But now we know that many of those policies have been canceled and some people are complaining that they have to pay more. So how would you assure voters that they can trust you now when you say Obamacare is going to work?
You bet. Well, first of all, the big insurance companies went around the law, and I'm outraged by what they did. Basically, Gwen, what they did is they went and issued substandard policies and then canceled them. And they knew that they were substandard. And so I've introduced a bill, with bipartisan bill, and if they want to keep their policies, they can. But the important thing for people to know about Obamacare here in New Mexico is they have to understand that the Affordable Care Act really protects and brings down our number of uninsured. 190,000 people that didn't have coverage a year ago now have it. Women, it used to be pregnancy was a pre-existing condition and they were thrown off their policy. No longer can happen. Lifetime limits, those are out. So there are some very significant things that have happened that have been good, and they've been good for New Mexico. Does it have problems? You bet it does. You mentioned one of them. We're going to work, we're going to change it, we're going to fix it, we're going to move forward.
Speaking of women, they are the majority of people who make the minimum wage. And you have criticized Alan Way for suggesting that in exchange for raising the federal minimum wage, we should eliminate it for people under 26. He says this would at least give more young people the opportunity to work. So what's wrong with that?
Well, the problem is, and you hit it on the head, we're talking about single women in many cases, somebody just out of college, under the age of 26, and he's saying abolish the minimum wage. And then he made the statement, even if they make $4 an hour, so what? I think the point here is if you're below poverty level, you're making under 26, there's no minimum wage, you are dooming those people to very, very low paying jobs. And how do they pay back their loans? How does a mom raising a young child and juggling family responsibilities, how's she able to take care of her family responsibilities? And I don't think she can do it. And so my sense is we should raise the minimum wage for everyone, and we should try to work with employers and do it in such a way that it doesn't hit them too heavily.
New Mexico's unemployment rate has dropped a little bit over the past few months, but the average household income here remains very low. What have you done in the Senate to improve not only the number of jobs in the state, but the quality of those jobs?
Well, our best job base here in New Mexico is building off what we have. We have incredible federal institutions, national laboratories, military bases, White Sands missiles testing, with the Waste Isolation Pilot Project. In my responsibilities in the Senate, I make sure they're well funded, that they have the resources to do the job. And then on top of that, I have the universities working with the heads of all those institutions I named and trying to move in the direction of creating more jobs out of the labs.
But is this job creation, does it come down just to government influence?
Oh, not at all, because what we're seeing is I brought Secretary Moniz in here to talk about, he's the new Secretary of Energy. I took him to one of these new companies, spun off out of the national laboratories, 25 jobs in just a couple of years. He says that's an important mission, we've got to do that. And so we're creating jobs now. We did a bioscience incubator up in Santa Fe, algae. It was called Jalgi down in Jal, New Mexico, where they're manufacturing algae. These are jobs where we're taking the science we have here and the capabilities in the background, spinning them off. The other thing that's very important is technology transfer. There are ideas within those labs that can spin off and go into the private sector and create more jobs. And so I'm just staying focused like a laser beam and saying we need to do more of this. We're doing some of it now. Last year, from September to December, we gained 6,400 jobs. We're really rolling, but we need to do a lot better. That's 6,400 isn't the kind of place we want to be. We want to do better.
Despite all our best efforts, the data tells us that children in New Mexico are still at great risk for living in poverty, unintended pregnancies, not graduating from high school. What is the most important thing that you can do to improve that outlook for them?
Probably the most important thing is early childhood education. I'm on bills at the federal level that I think may make a real difference on that front. I very much support the efforts here in New Mexico to try to put additional resources into early childhood education. Why is that important? Because you equalize those inequalities of people coming from their families. And that's tremendously important for us to make sure you equalize that. Then when they get into school, they're on an equal basis and they have a chance for equal opportunity. And that's what we want in New Mexico. We have such a diverse state. It's a wonderful state. And we need to bring those kids up that are coming from disadvantaged backgrounds.
You've spent $2 million on this campaign, at least since July, and nearly all of that money came from political action committees. But you're also a big critic of what you call secret campaign spending and shadow campaign operations. Would disclosing where the donations from really make a difference in the amount of money we're seeing in politics now?
I think disclosure wouldn't make a difference on how much. It would have some impact, but let's talk about why this isn't a good thing. The Citizens United opinion by the Supreme Court doesn't require disclosure and in fact open the floodgates for corporations. And so what ends up happening with these big corporations is they then hide the money in various ways and they in a sense launder it. And so what you end up happening here is we are in a situation where half the money in the key Senate races in the country now is undisclosed or partially disclosed. So on election day, you will know who gets elected, but you won't know who supported them. And that isn't the case with my campaign. I mean, I have to disclose every dollar out there in a public way. But this is a bad trend for democracy. It's unraveling the very essence of democracy by not knowing who is supporting candidates. And I don't like it. And fundraising is probably one of the most unpleasant things that all of us do. But you play by the rules that you have, but I'm trying to make the rules better so that we have a better New Mexico.
This year, a long-running VA scandal finally broke and went public. And our VA healthcare system here, we found had been manipulating the appointment books, among other things. We saw you sending press releases and doing some interviews. But as a senator and even a congressman before that, hadn't you heard complaints about this from constituents?
Yeah, well, first of all, the thing to understand is that when veterans get into the VA and see their doctors and see their specialists, they like their care that they're getting. The problem is the access, the long waiting times, the long travel times, not getting medicine out into the rural communities. Those are the big issues. And I've been a real leader on those. I mean, I stood up and called during this scheduling crisis you talked about for an IG investigation. We, in fact, use our casework people and complaints we were getting to help the IG get to the bottom of what was happening. We called for an Attorney General investigation, new leadership in the VA here and at the top. And on top of that, just when we left Washington 6 weeks ago, we passed a piece of legislation called the Veterans CARES Act. That piece of legislation means that we are going to have lower wait times, we're going to have more access, and if the wait line time is too long, what will end up happening is the individual will be able to get outside care in the community where they are. And so that's something that's going to be big for veterans. And this has been a top priority for me. I really care about our vets. They have sacrificed for us. We have to be there for them.
We've only got a minute left. Tell me, what do you think are the 3 biggest accomplishments that you've had in office?
I have had great accomplishments in terms of creating jobs here, and we've talked about those. We've had an incredible effort to help veterans on burn pits that live downwind and are contracting illnesses. And what's ended up happening is they now have a registry, and they're starting to get a cure, and we're going to do more research and help them out. And then we've just been terribly strong in terms of supporting women. As you know, as Attorney General, I passed the tough anti-stalking law. We're now moving into the Violence Against Women Act and doing better there, passed Katie's law at the federal level. So I want to make sure that our women are protected here in New Mexico when it comes to domestic violence.
Senator Tom Udall, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real pleasure.